Hello.
Let's get,
What the
let's
fuck
get a
is
little bit
Twitch
here.
plays, Stoic plays, ER? What is this? What's that?
Twitch plays Stoic playing ER is me being controlled by Twitch chat. So the idea is that they type up or forward or whatever combination, something that I can understand, and then I try to faithfully execute the very last thing that I was told to do.
Oh my god.
They can even say something as simple as attack, and I'll just try to interpret that as best as I can. So unless they say like magic or something, then I'll just attack. And if they mean magic, they'll say magic or R2 or whatever. I'll be playing with the next
Can I say drop item?
You would have to like tell me like a button press. So you would have to try to get me to button press in that way. Okay. I wouldn't be able to like complex commands, no. But if it happens that somebody says like up, and somebody puts like Y and then A, and then it's gonna then it's, you know, if it drops it, then it drops it. You know. Okay, all right, we need a tone change here for a second.
Holy shit, I can't believe the TikToks I'm uploading are like so early on.
Yeah. All right, let's change the music a little bit. We need to find something more appropriate for what's going to be going on right here. We're going to be doing this for about an hour, and then we'll swap to Twitch plays Stoic playing Elden Ring.
Jesus Christ.
That's good. That's real good.
You're real pretty.
That's real good. It might be a little bit too loud, but that should be a good volume. And chat will let me know. Okay, so we're gonna be reading about a guy that played Bubsy 3D way too much on the original PS1. Welcome back, Celestia. This guy really enjoyed pizza, and I think that it is a shame and a huge loss that the website no longer exists. But that's what the Wayback Machine is for. Okay, we're going to read about his eating habits. Okay, and if you've ever been part of It's Franny B's stream before, this should sound pretty familiar to you. And we're just gonna dive right in. So that's all the context that you need, is that's just a guy that's talking about what kind of foods he likes. Okay, you ready? A varied beginning. At first, at least according to my parents, I ate almost anything. Ketchup, peanut butter, jelly, squash, potatoes, green peas, etc. I don't recall how well I liked meat, but I ate otherwise anything. As time went on, my variety decreased radically. I don't recall any of this very well, but this is based on what my parents keep telling me. As time went on, especially since 2nd grade or so, I gradually moved more and more towards pizzas, and a much narrower range of choices. I began rejecting things like peas and squash, and various other things, as I almost entirely went with pizzas. When my parents served things like a steak with mashed potatoes, peas, occasionally biscuits, the only thing I pretty much ate were the biscuits and to some extent the mashed potatoes. I didn't eat the peas all that much, as I didn't have much of an interest, but was often forced to eat them. I still had a decent variety until about 1999 or so, even though I rejected much of what I had. Chapter 1.1.1.2. Only what I liked. Since about 1999 or so, pizza has been my only main meal I actually ate to any worthy degree. Though I still had the occasional steak, double cheeseburger from McDonald's and other things, pizza became my only main meal I enjoyed and actually ate. At times, if my family served the garbage things like steak, peas, corns, carrots, eggs, etc., I'd often refuse to eat it, but I had to, in order to satisfy my craving of addiction to video games. I often had pizzas, like Tostinos, which I heated in the microwave, often with added cheese, since they otherwise came with little on them, and at times, it was not uncommon to have a whole cup's worth of cheese on a single pizza. Other things I had were things like macaroni and cheese, silly soup, as I call it. Officially, open parentheses, it's ramen noodles where you'd have a big block of noodles and a small packet containing seasoning for the flavor. These two items were the primary... Sorry, there's a total change there. These two items were the primary things. I knew how to cook and did so well, and it was common that I ate my silly soup twice a day. I often ate twice a day, rarely 3 times a day if garbage was served. Only once a day, and it was not uncommon I'd go for it without eating for over 20 hours. I still ate plenty of snacks like potato chips, pretzels, crackers, and other things. End of chapter, begin chapter 1.1.1.3, pizzas only. Because pizza were like far more than other foods, I prefer them far more than anything else, even an apple, even a macaroni, and others. By around 2002, my diet was almost entirely pizzas. Around here was yet another change. Rather than pepperoni pizzas, I changed cheese pizzas, which caused a major reduction in the amount of meat I ate. Although I still had potato chips, crackers, and various other things, I had very little variety in a main meal. I had about quadruple the variety for snack foods I did with the main meal since about late 2004 to mid 2005. Never had a single piece of meat since. Let me add our time back because I forgot to do that for the break. Add time. I did not take the full 25 minutes. So we'll do 12 minutes. 12 minutes back on the time.
It
was about 15. Add time 3. Okay, that should add another 3 to it. Okay, good. My immersion. Back to the book. Start chapter 1.1.1.4, 220 pounds. I needed to lose weight because of my lack of exercise due to no motivation to doing so. And the fact I ate a lot of fatty foods and things, I gained weight and quite a bit of it. From doctor visits near the end of 2003, I found that I weighed as much as 2,017 pounds. In my past, I could peak 15 miles per hour in a mad dash, but at this time, making even 13 miles per hour was hard enough due to my extra weight. Because I had no motivation for doing exercises other than the mad dash across streets and parking lots when I went to a store, I needed to change my diet because pizzas were about the only thing I ate. I utilized my math skills and I worked out changes. Each gram of fat is worth 9 calories. A typical serving from a bag of potato chips has about 12 grams of fat, which means 108 calories. A typical large-sized bag, about 10 or so servings of this, meaning that if you ate half the bag in a single day, which was common in my past, I'd consume 1,000 calories. Each gram of carbohydrates and protein is worth 4 calories. By eliminating potato chips, sodas, and various other things with little in the way of nutrition, or going with the healthier versions, I made a good effort there, but it still didn't help as pizzas tend to be packed full of fats. This is where excessive use of my fat removal trick came in, which literally soaks up a huge fraction of the fat and more of it the longer that I use it. And in open parentheses, the warmer the food is, close parentheses, end sentence. I applied the method with various fast food meals, and it was not uncommon to spend a half hour degreasing 2 double cheeseburgers when it takes only 10 or so minutes to eat them. When I did eat at fast food restaurants, I often requested napkins and lots of them. Just how many? A stack an inch high was barely enough for 3 double cheeseburgers from McDonald's, as it took 6 full napkins for 1 such double cheeseburger. Since I hated ketchup, mustard, pickles, and other things, I always got mine plain, so I only had the bun, hamburgers, and cheese. By ordering this way, much more thoroughly degreased them to even 98% reduction within typical 15 minutes spent per item. Plus, if I wanted to add ketchup or mustard or pickles, etc., they could be added separately and included when the degreasing is done. Then, over a year later, when I got weight again, I was surprised I lost 50 pounds, dropping to a more normal 170 pounds. Yet that's without any considerable exercise, open parentheses, other than the usual sprinting through the parking lot and walking through stores. How rarely I've even done it. Closed parentheses. Oh, the acid is kicking in again. Somebody's got to get that away from you. I love Storytime with Daddy Stoic. Welcome back, Mermaid. Are you the little sausage? He sure is.
I am the little sausage.
He's just, I almost forgot that he was there. He's just fucking intently listening. +1.
Yeah, I'm being a good little hot dog.
I'm being a good little hot dog. Chapter 1.1.1.5, from twice a day to once a day. Because I hate having to eat, I wanted to spend time less... I wanted to spend less time eating. Because of the annoyance of having to stop whatever I'm doing to get rid of my annoying stomach aches from not eating in a while, I was further prompted to finding a way to eat a main meal only once a day. Not my previous twice a day. However, there was no single meal that could satisfy this need until I started with those 2-pound pizzas, such as the rising crust pizzas from DiGiorno or Freshetta. Because these pizzas were... Which part? Until I started with those 2-pound pizzas, such as the rising crust pizzas from DiGiorno or Freshetta. Oh my god, I fucking hit this spot. I'm about to cook.
Someone talk about a dead animal. I'm about to cook.
Context, Freddy. Context. Because these pizzas were actually slightly cheaper than the other 10-ounce pizzas, open parentheses with a cup of extra cheese, close parentheses, and they were a bit better for me, tasting 1.5 times as good. They began to become my primary pizzas, and as soon as I got into rice and crust pizzas, the pizzas were mostly crust. It's not the sauce or the cheese that has a big influence on the overall compatibility, it's the crust. Since Freschetta has the best crust, it's become my preferred brand. Since then, I've always had one meal per day unless I have something else which isn't filling, open parentheses like hamburger helper, space, dash, space, I need 2.5 boxes worth, close parentheses. The other times are where I use snack foods instead. 1.1.2, noteworthy meals and events. 1.1.2.1, silly soup. At one time, during the late 1990s in particular, I frequently had what I called silly soup. Silly soup is just another name I gave for ramen noodles. All it is a block of noodles about 5 inches long by 4 inches wide and about an inch tall, of which a seasoning packet was included into the bag. I never liked top ramen, and I stuck with just ramen. At 10 to 13 cents per bag, it was the cheapest of all meals I had, and sometimes combined 2 meals in the same package. I cooked it by first finding the necessary utensils. 2 spoons, open parentheses, a bigger one for stirring, a second, smaller one for eating with, close parentheses, a drainer, a pan, and a bowl. If any of these were not available, I had to ask my parents to wash what I didn't have, and if no one was available, I had to delay eating until someone was available. When I had all the essential supplies, I began by filling a pan with water and starting the fire underneath. While the water got heated up, I crushed the noodles into the bag, being careful not to put a hole in the bag of seasoning. When the water was boiling, usually 0 to 2 minutes after I finished crushing the noodles, I put them in and began a 3-minute timer. Sometimes counting the seconds allowed to myself to 180. I trained the noodles and I rinsed them a little bit. I put the noodles in a bowl, opened the pack of seasoning, and dumped it all in one spot. I added a little water to the bowl to open parentheses so I could barely see the water, usually 1 to 1.5 inches deep or so. I began mixing the seasoning with the water. I ate it almost in full, and when done, I put the bowl in the sink, filled it with a bit of water, and continued on. I had a few different flavors, but which of the flavors were stronger? Oriental, open parentheses, blue bag, close parentheses, was among one of my favorites, with the shrimp, open parentheses, magenta bag, close parentheses, at a very close second. And chicken, open parentheses, orange bag, close parentheses, was a very close third. Mushroom, open parentheses, yellow-gray bag, close parentheses, was 4th most liked, and when it came out, the one with cream in the name, and a light yellow-gray bag, open parentheses, cream of chicken, cream of mushroom, close parentheses. I then read a post from someone on a forum I once had a very long time ago that said silly soup contained a carcinogen, open parentheses, a cancer-causing agent, close parentheses, that caused a fear and a sudden huge drop of interest in it. I don't know if this is true or not, but as a result, I haven't had silly soup in many years. 1.1.2.2 macaroni and cheese with toasty dogs. At the time, I liked both macaroni and cheese pizzas. In this section, I refer to macaroni and cheese as simply macaroni. The only downside to macaroni was the fact that the strength of flavor was very low and it deterred me from eating it. Even with 40% extra cheese sauce brand, it still didn't have no strong enough flavor. The regular amount seemed to have almost no flavor, likely due to my very weak sense of smell. By adding what I called toasty dogs to the macaroni, the strength of the flavor and the compatibility of the macaroni was comparable to pizzas. I very often got Oscar Mayer hot dogs since they didn't seem to have the hard spots I strongly disliked that almost every other brand had. As with silly soup in section 1.1.2.1 above, I first had the necessary supplies and there were a lot of them. 3 spoons, open parentheses, 2 large ones for stirring. Second, open parentheses, the first one considered dirty and unusable as a result. Second, close parentheses, a small one for eating. First, close parentheses, a moderately large pan, a small frying pan, open parentheses, 6 inches diameter is sufficient enough, close parentheses, a drainer, a spatula, a large plate, a steak knife, open parentheses, the kind with the several large sharp edges, close parentheses, and a small plate. If any of these were not available, I had to ask someone to wash one, and if not available, I either had to wait or go with something else instead. If the milk was beyond the sell-by date, this meal was not possible since I refused to have milk beyond the sell-by date. What's up, Mr. Hot Dog? What's wrong?
I'm sorry. I was getting confused. Why did this motherfucker try to do it with the milk expired?
He said if the milk was beyond the sell-by date, the meal was not possible to make because he did not want to have milk beyond the sell-by date, so he's refusing. What a ghost story. For the fastest method, I first filled the pan with water since it takes a while to get the water boiling. I also placed a frying pan on the stove, but didn't heat it up. With everything in place, I turned the fire on for the macaroni's water, and while the water was being heated up, I began cutting usually 5 hot dogs of Frank's into anywhere from 14 to 18 pieces, usually 16. Since I just split it in half again and again, the easiest and fastest for me to do. By the time I got done cutting the hot dogs into 80 or so pieces, Jesus Christ, editor's note, the water for the macaroni was boiling. I added the macaroni to the water as one normally would, open parentheses with the sauce packet removed beforehand, close parentheses, and I stirred it. Welcome in, Bailey. I gently put the book down, and I fold my fingers together. It's good to see you, my friend. Welcome in. We're doing Stoic Reads a Cursed Storytime fanfic. Find a spot that's open. Any spot will do. It doesn't have to be at the front. I know that you're your daddy's little trumpet and he likes to play you, but you don't have to be all the way in front. You can sit wherever there's an open spot. Look, X-Ray has a spot. Ara. And I started. Next, I began cooking the hot dogs. I first turned on the fire at high, then I added some butter to the frying pan, open parentheses, about 3/16 to 1/4 inches thick, and I melted the butter, spreading it all around. When almost melted, I add the cut up hot dogs to the frying pan and began cooking them a few seconds later. When the sizzling from 2 feet away is about 50 decibels, I turn the fire down to medium low for the hot dogs and continue cooking them. While I cooked the hot dogs, I stirred the macaroni occasionally. When the hot dogs were done being cooked, where I can see a few black spots, I turned the fire off for them and waited for the sizzling to stop. By the time the sizzling stopped, the macaroni was otherwise done, and I drained it. I did a brief rinse and returned the noodles to the pan. I added the milk and the cheese sauce to get a creamy look. After stirring up the milk and cheese sauce, I add the hot dogs I just fried, of which I considered toasted, then transfer everything to a plate. From there, I ate the meal with 1 or so hot dog per 5 noodles. By doing this, I don't waste anything. If I ran out of hot dogs due to lack of flavor macaroni has, I wouldn't eat the noodles. If I ran out of noodles, that was okay, but it was a bit tricky to eat the hot dogs. Compared to macaroni alone, there's much stronger flavor and compatibility by adding these. When Oscar Mayer hot dogs got the hard spots in them, I had to resort to other brands, but beforehand, both the regular and cheese-filled hot dogs were used. I didn't have all that much interest in this, mainly due to the huge number of supplies it takes to make. Open parentheses, and if any one of them is not available, I can't have the meal without it being washed. Close parentheses. I gently put the book down, and I say to chat, if you are enjoying this even a little bit, consider following. It helps me out more than it seems. It's free, and it updates you when I'm around. If you like this a ton and have the means, consider subscribing. If you have a Prime subscription, you get one for free that you can just send my way or towards your favorite streamer, like it's Franny B, who's perched on my shoulder right now.
Hello.
As long as you're happy, that's what I care about. Yeah, my spot is at the exit. True. Spread that butter, Teddy. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
I'm currently playing Elden Ring.
Of course you are. Lost content? Who could imagine? 1.1.2.3 pizza burgers. Although I call them pizza burgers, they were nothing more than miniaturized pizzas with hamburger buns used as the crust. They tasted nearly 3 times as good as the other pizzas I was having. Tortillas with a cup's worth of extra cheese. They were the only main homemade pizzas I had, and I often had them once or twice a week. In a single batch, I'd have about 12 such pizza burgers. This is the only common self-made meal I made using the oven to cook with. Even today, they're compared quite well with bruschetta, but I haven't had them since 2000 or so. To make them, I need relatively few things. I need at least 6 hamburger buns, a 3-cup bag of mozzarella cheese, open parentheses. I don't exactly recall. Dash. Go with 4 to be safe if you intend on trying to make such a thing. A bag of pepperonis. Close parentheses, open parentheses. Since they were liked at the time I last made them, at least 4 pepperonis per bun, 5 at the maximum, close parentheses. Pizza sauce, open parentheses. I often got Rego's pepperoni flavored version as it didn't have the big chunks of tomato I strongly dislike, close parentheses. A cookie sheet, a butter knife, and whatever toppings were involved. Because of the different designs of the hamburger bun halves, open parentheses, one being rounded, the other flat, optimizing the space is a little bit tricky. The tops tended to overflow a little bit as they were rather large. The bottom was tightly packed. When packing on the cookie sheet, the white flat part is used of both bun types. I often put the 6 tops on one side and the 6 buns on the other. I first used a butter knife to spread the sauce over the buns because I didn't like thick sauce that much. I often spread it on just enough so the entire area was covered, plus a small little extra bit so it could be seen as a blob to some extent. Welcome in, the marsh. There is a wiener on my shoulder. Can you say hi, wiener?
Hi, wiener. You see what I did there?
I did see what you did there. That's very funny, dog. Unlike with normal pizzas, where the pepperonis are at the top, the pepperonis at the bottom to prevent the cheese from gluing to the bun. I typically added 4 to 5 pepperonis per bun. I sort of randomized it after putting the 54 or so pepperonis on. I preheat the oven at some temperature that I don't recall. Open parentheses, 400 degrees F? Question mark? Close parentheses. While the oven preheats, I add the cheese to each bun half. Some of which, usually 1 to 3, a lot more cheese. When done, the oven could be preheated. Sorry, that's a wrong word. Preheated.
I fucking hate you, oven. Just to let you know.
I think it's how I'm really feeling, like on a deep psychological level, is bleeding into this.
I fucking hate the way you look. And the oven's like, what the fuck?
Fucking hate this oven. Oh, hi, Marsh.
Well, hi, Marsh.
When done, the oven should be preheated, and I place the cookie sheet into the oven on the middle rack, or the next furthest rack from the fire. I cook them for about 10 to 15 minutes, open parentheses. I don't recall exactly, until about 1/3 to 2/3 of the total cheese area is a golden brown color, close parentheses. And when done, I use one of those pad-like things designed for hot objects and take the cookie sheet out. And I leave the pizza burgers to cool. After 5 minutes later, I began eating them. Often in groups of 3 or 4 at a time. Sometimes 7, depending on the plate I had. Some of my family members also had them, usually just 1 or 2. I turn the page. Since about 2003 or so, I have not had any more pizza burgers. I lost interest in pepperonis. Without the pepperonis, the cheese tended to stick. I don't recall the real reason why I lost interest, but it could be either from excessive use, open parentheses, the most common case with many activities when used or done a lot, close parentheses, lost interest in pepperonis, or perhaps some other attribute. I'm going to take a little swig from my coffee
Marsh
here.
Has been kicking dick on Final Fantasy VII Remake. Not Rebirth, Remake. So if you're interested in watching someone not playing the new version or whatever the fuck it's called, watch It's the Marsh.
The remake is actually really popular, and my thought process is that a lot of people are like, well, I don't know anything about Rebirth, and I just want to get caught up to speed, so I'll watch a streamer do it.
Yeah.
That's why Horizon Zero Dawn is still so popular, I think, or at least part of the reason. It's also a good game.
I'm gonna wait until I play it.
Yeah, me too. I know generally how it goes. I spoiled it for myself. I know nothing about Remake except the fact that it's good. I gave you mod privileges, Mermaid, but I want to stress that you're under no obligation to do anything moderative at any time.
I'm not a mod. I'm not.
You literally, well, you have to work your way back up after trying to exclamation point.
What did I say? They got rid of it. Oh, I spam play.
Yeah, play the game. I just want you to have the option of taking people's lives if you choose to, Mermaid, and I like the idea of there being a little green sword next to your name. That's it. That's all it is. And it gives you the power to shut yourself out. So seriously,
yeah, why didn't you just give VIP people?
Because there's a limited number of VIPs. There's a limited number of VIPs. And
oh yeah, you don't have 100 like me.
Yeah, we don't just wake up one morning and have literally all the emote slots unlocked, okay? Some of us have to fucking work for our dinner. listen to this guy.
I'll be banging Jeff Bezos.
He's getting his hot dog.
He loves this hot dog more than you think.
Yeah. Chapter 1.1.2.4 Thanksgiving Prayer? Forget it. Although not well recalled, this one thing occurring around 1994 or so that I tend to think about once every 2 to 3 months. It was Thanksgiving Day and all the foods and things were otherwise done and nearly set up on the table. I was otherwise at the table in my chair my usual way at the time, my right leg pointing up and my left leg laying flat. A prayer was about to occur, something I had and still have no interest in and often faked doing. My parents told me to put my knee down, but I refused. After a few rounds of attempts, I was told to go to my room, and I did. I don't recall anything further outside this one event. Footnote, what a ghost story. Chapter 1.1.2.5 Hamburger Helper, no meat allowed. In the early days of me having Hamburger Helper, the meat, open parentheses, hamburger, close parentheses, was often included. At first it was quite a bit, but I soon wanted less and less of the meat, but even with half the required meat, I never liked it. I mainly only ate the noodles. When I completely abandoned the meat, cooking it in much the same way as macaroni and cheese, open parentheses, only with the sauce mixed in right away, close parentheses, not only did I need the hot dogs I otherwise required before with regular macaroni, see section 1.1.2.2 above, the flavor tasted even better than macaroni with toasty dogs, provided the meat wasn't included. Even to today, I still have it, but very rarely, as it's not all that filling, and it requires more dishes than the pizza does. To make it, I first needed a large, medium pan. The specific meal I wanted, usually cheeseburger macaroni, my top favorite, or a cheddar cheese melt. Milk, with it being beyond the expiration date. Open parentheses, only the lasagna flavor doesn't require of it. Only of my liked ones. Open close parentheses, a measuring cup. Usually one. My math skills come in handy here, but it's not required. Only recommended. 2 spoons. A big one for stirring and a small one for eating. And a plate. As with any other meal, if any one of these is not available, I have to ask my parents to wash it. If there's no milk beyond the sell date is considered as no milk being available. I cannot have it unless I use one of the meals that doesn't require it, and only one of decent compatibility is the lasagna flavor, although rather low. And sadly,
Do you think
nowhere near my top 5 favorites. Yes, Franchman.
Do you think if this guy was desperate for his meal and there was no milk available, do you think he would ask his mother to...
If he is basically choosing not to eat unless somebody washes his dishes for him, of course he's gonna ask his mom or his dad to go out and get milk.
Oh, no, I wasn't asking about going to the store.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something else.
Okay, let me... You're gonna have to clarify a little bit for me.
What Croissant just said.
Titty milk? I don't think so. I think this guy is a person of class. I don't think that he would lower himself to that. The process for cooking is nearly the same as macaroni, only with a few differences. I first measured the amount of milk, then water I need, with the amount shown on the package. If I needed 2 to 1/4 cups of water, and 1/2 cup milk for something, and I only had 2/3 cup available, short of getting my parents to watch the size as I need, I used my math skills to get what I need. I used 3 full 2/3 cups in water to get the remaining 1/4. I simply divide the amount needed by the cup capacity to get the result of 3/8, and I fill the cup to about 3/8 full. With such large amounts of liquid and that high precision isn't really necessary, I use my tricks to approximate 3/8 of the 2/3 cup. I do this math in my mind and get the result within about 10 seconds, longer due to infrequent use of this. The same thing applies to 1.5 cup, where I fill the 2/3 cups 3/4 of the way full. For faster results, I use the laws of mathematics and I just get a quick estimate. I might get 1/3 for the case or the 1/4 cup needed, which is very close. Anyway, once the liquids are measured out, I put the noodles and the main sauce in. If there are multiple sauces included, usually a topping, I save those until later. I then cook the meal on high all the way through. At first, I don't have to stir that often, but as the liquids start boiling away, the rate of stirring increases, and as such, the liquids get thicker due to the sauce being mixed into as well. The stirring rate must increase along with it. At the start, it is okay to go without stirring for 40 seconds, but near the end, stirring is as often as once every 20 seconds, possibly pushing it too long. 15 seconds is about right. I lick my finger and I turn the page. In the case of the pan being about 6 inches in diameter, the meal is done cooking when, upon stirring, you can see the bottom of the pan. From there, add up to 2 minutes of additional cooking time, but the longer you go, the greater the chances of it sticking to the bottom, and the more frequently you need to stir to prevent this. I usually go about 30 seconds. Draining is not required. What's that?
I usually go about 30 seconds, that's what he said.
What could be cleaner than your mom's boob? True. That's why I go for your mom's boob all the time.
And if she has a bit of alcohol, you got a bit of alcohol milk.
We sure do, don't we, hot dog?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do, boy. From there, add up to 2 minutes of additional cooking time. But the longer that you go, the greater the chance of it sticking to the bottom, and the more frequently you need to stir to prevent this. I usually go about 30 seconds. Draining is not required. I do, however, blow on it to rapidly cool it down, and you don't need to blow all that hard. A typical good blow usually lasts about 5 to 7 seconds. True.
Yo, he's a marathon man. I'm impressed.
It only takes about 5 to 7 seconds when I blow. I'm trying to sleep, guys.
They just have to look at it.
X-Ray is going to sleepy town on this. Alright. If a topping is included, less blowing is needed, as the milk I later add quickly cools it down. Rather than just being topped with it, I mix it in. I open the bags and I pour the contents in. Instead of a measuring cup, I pour what I think is about a fluid ounce worth of milk, or whatever liquid is used, usually it's milk, into the pan, then begin stirring. Be careful not to get the sauce on the sides where it's otherwise wasted. If more milk is needed, I add more gradually until I get the creaminess that I want, which tends to be about 1 and 1.5 to 2 to 1.5 fluid ounces per bag. With the contents now fully cooked, I pour them onto my plate, and I begin eating it.
HelloFresh.
Subscribe to HelloFresh and use my code POGHF132336 to receive 16 free meals plus free dessert for life while subscription is active.
They won't make you use titty milk.
Yeah.
Think.
It also won't count if you're not from the US. So move to the US if you are in the US. Order or use a VPN.
Or use a VPN and then order to some random dude.
In the brochure that they gave me, they didn't tell me that people couldn't use VPNs. They did say that they would flag suspicious orders.
They don't even do that. They don't give a mate. Do you think the amount of orders they get, they ain't checking shit?
Probably, unless somebody flags it. Somebody's going over to HelloFresh HQ right now.
Hello, I just got a random order from HelloFresh from It's Pro Stoic.
It's exactly like that. You gotta talk real slow. Chapter 1.2. Food at school and
Welcome
or
to the
other
bonfire,
public
unkindled
places.
one.
Thank you so much for the support, Joker's Phantom. Jokers, I hesitate to ask just because I don't know if it's a continued source spot or not. Have you gotten past that one part in
he was meant
Yakuza
to
Kiwami? If you haven't and you want me to just not ask about it anymore, absolutely tell me. I just won't ask about it anymore. You did? And I missed it? Fuck.
I was watching Has-Been Hotel and I missed it.
I'm so sorry I was not there to experience it. I'm so glad for you, dude. I know that you were stuck on that shit for the longest time.
Everyone go follow Joker now.
Sorry, X-Ray. I'm sorry. Happy Streamiversary, my dude. I appreciate that. Thank you for the subscription. It means a lot.
She complains when there's too many.
I complain when there's too many. But here's the thing: is that just to retread what we discussed earlier, I don't expect my mods to do anything. If they do things,
that's what I say to my mods.
Well, okay. So what are you getting upset about? I don't get it. What are you
I
feeling?
pay my mods 6 months of
Shion,
subs.
I
I
need
have
to
like
be
6.
cleaned.
You have like 50,000.
I don't know what you're trying to say to me right now. What's the point? Can we cut to the
What's
chase?
that, Stoic? You're gonna give all your HelloFresh money to your mods evenly?
Yeah.
Whoa.
No, totally. We need an order of HelloFresh first, and then we'll talk. Reflect
If you get 0,
continuously.
you can go. I shared it.
Reflect continuously how all things come to pass in days gone by as they do today. Reflect that so they will hereafter, and put before your eyes which dramas, sorry, my eyes are kind of strained right now, and scenes of the same kind, which you've known in your own experience or from earlier history. For those were like these, only the actors were different. So that quote, I don't even need to see who that's from to understand where it came from. It's Seneca. Seneca the Younger said that. Basically, somebody should call me on that if it's not. Basically, what it means is that anytime that anything happens to you that's unfortunate, including things as small as you accidentally bumping into your table, knocking off and breaking your favorite coffee cup, to something as extreme as you fill in whatever blank in your mind fits that. It is important as a Stoic to try to take a third-person perspective as quickly and forcibly as possible, so that, one, you're not overwhelmed by the impression of what seems to be happening, and two, you can get a better idea of how to respond to what happened instead of just fully succumbing to the feeling right away. You're trying to make yourself as active as an agent as you can, and part of how you do that is by thinking of things from a third-person, worldly, universal type perspective. You try to say to yourself, okay, I broke my favorite coffee mug, but it is the nature of coffee mugs to break when they fall by gravity onto the ground. There are peoples whose mugs are getting broken all over the world, all with their same favorite coffee mugs, and yet when I think about them breaking their mugs, I think that it's unfortunate, but that sort of thing just happens, that it's a part of life. When you think about things
out of your control.
Right, exactly. When you try to apply that third-person perspective to yourself, you're one, buying yourself enough time so that you're not completely consumed by whatever negative thought you have when you first are thinking about what just happened, and two, you're giving yourself more control to make constructive use of the situation. Saying to yourself that there's nothing stopping me from getting another coffee mug. There's nothing stopping me from finding another thing to drink coffee out of, so on and so forth, or tea if you're British, right?
Obviously, mate.
Obviously, mate.
Oh, tea comes out right out the mother's tit.
It's fucking. You hear this, hot dog? No problems. Have the clip. Thank you, and please post a clip in chat if you have it, jokers, because I also want to see. And I also want to make sure that you're recognized, because I love watching you play the game. I get paid nothing. I don't even get compliments. What do you mean? I complimented this shit out of you earlier. Somebody. I'm sure this is gonna make you feel better. Somebody paid me almost 3,000 channel points to say nice things about you. Did you forget about that?
You're talking to X-Ray.
Yeah, X-Ray. You should be allowed to feel sad about the mug. Feel through your feelings and come out the other side. Yes, as long as you don't allow the circumstance to completely control your brain. There's a difference between appreciating the mug for the time that you had it and assigning ownership over the mug to the extent that you're like, that shouldn't have happened, in the sense that it shouldn't have been, like, it just shouldn't have happened, but it makes sense that it happened. No, they didn't. That was Felicity, you nitwit. No, somebody did it about you.
I need to be cleaned.
There.
That was like yesterday, though.
See, dude, time and space. This is really, really struggling for a bit.
Look my dong.
Thank you for the stream, Stoic. Happy anniversary. Have a great night. Goodbye, mermaid.
Go kick whatever boss you got next, mermaid.
X-Ray, I think that you have like an infectiously pleasant personality. I like listening to your voice. I don't know if you know this or even remotely think this about yourself, but you have a very relaxed, hot voice. Okay? You know, you're just like you naturally got it going on in the voice department. I think that you have a very nice face. I think you're very appealing to look at. 10 out of 10 would watch with my eyeballs again. I think that you have an awesome artistic ability. You are such a schmoozer. Tell me about it. Here, look at her. Hang on. Where's my button?
Where's your butt?
Oh, hang on. My screen blocker is blocking it. Hang on. Screen blocker, merch advert. No, I have to move it up. Look at that. Look how cute she is at the bottom. She's so cute. Look at her. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
X-ray specs.
Is this supposed to be story time?
Going on.
You literally asked. Well, sort of. You inferred that this is what you wanted. And Felicity literally paid the price for it. Also, welcome back, Felicity. All right, 1.2.1. A brief history of food at school and other public places. It wasn't the classes I disliked. It was the school lunches. Very rarely did they have anything that I liked. I agree with him on this. The best thing that my school had was slushies. Worse yet, I had to waste often more than 90% of what I got because of the very poor system that they had. I strongly preferred not to eat the school lunches at a time, but I sometimes had to in order to go outside for recess. At the time, if I did eat the school lunch, I had to have 3 things. Usually 1 or 2 were of interest. I had to choose something to throw away as a result of this system. It was either that or not eat at all. Worse yet, because the school spoons bothered me, the white handle with the narrow tip still bothers me today. I was further restricted. Sure, I liked pudding, but due to the school spoons, I otherwise never had it. I probably am one of the students who threw away the most food. My reason was solely because I did not like food at all. During middle and high school, the situation was much the same, but since recess was impossible during these 3 years, open parentheses, grades 10 through 12 are oddballs, close parentheses, I could choose to eat or go to the classroom and wait catching up on homework. I don't recall if the 3 things requirement was used during my middle and high school years. I chose not to eat anything or take a few bites here and there. Since I had a special case for grades 10 through 12, I went to school from 3:45 to 4:45 p.m. School lunches were not even possible. Combined with the garbage my parents sometimes gave for dinner, there were many times I only ate once during the entire day, a mere 3 or so bowls worth of cereal. Breakfast, about the only real meal that I had during most of my school year. Combined with, sorry, I misread the wrong sentence. I glanced at chat and I paid for it. When one thinks of eating out at a fast food restaurant, one thinks of just ordering the meal, paying for it, then waiting at a table, eating the food right when it comes. This also applies to pizza restaurants like Pizza Hut. I used to be like that at first until I began actively degreasing everything. Instead of about 5 minutes to eat a double cheeseburger at McDonald's, it quadrupled to 20 minutes, with 3/4 of that time spent degreasing it. This also applies with pizzas as well. Rather than eating it right away, I spent close to 30 minutes degreasing it before I even take the first bite. This led to one main memorable event, as explained in section 1.2.2.4. At first, when ordering pizzas at places like a Pizza Hut, later to become Domino's as my preferred pizza place, I always got the thin crust type. It was until I went with the medium thickness crust, usually referred to as a hand-tossed type, I gained a greater interest in such pizzas as they tasted somewhat better. Thin crust was always crunchy, something that I don't like that much. The medium thickness crust wasn't crunchy, just a little, but more acceptable, and seemed to have a good balance of crust and toppings. At first, I went with 2 toppings of pepperoni and an extra topping of cheese. Since disliking pepperonis, I went with 3 extra toppings of cheese. The base topping, provided by default, then 3 extras on top of that. Jesus fuck, that's a lot of cheese. Because Domino's costed 80% that of Pizza Hut.
Don't judge.
Tastes roughly this. That's a lot of cheese, dude. That's a lot of cheese.
Don't judge.
When you ask for 3 extra helpings, like already the extra is a lot. Sorry, I'm getting off track. Tastes roughly the same, just ever so slightly a bit better, and unlike Pizza Hut, has always satisfied my orders. Chapter 1.2.2 Memorable Events. Subchapter 1.2.2.1 Pudding Trouble. Answer this. Very easy question. How hard is it to eat at least 1/4 cup's worth of delicious chocolate pudding with the school spoon? To you, it's extremely easy. To me, I recall it causing a timeout lasting 2 days and a lot of problems. The main reason was the school spoon, of which it still somewhat affects me today. Yep, at least as soon as I went to school, I was going to go to timeout because I refused to eat a small bunch of chocolate pudding. I remained in there all day, continuing to not eat, and by the end of the day, I returned home. The next day, was back to the timeout room for the same reason. Looking back at this, occurring around 1996 or so, I'm surprised why I didn't bother eating that small bit of pudding when I could have just used other tricks for eating. Open parentheses, and hey, maybe if I ate the pudding a different way without eating the spoon, or without using the spoon, they wrote eating here, but I think they meant using. They probably have given
eating the spoon. Nah, man just really likes the spoon.
He does really like the spoon. They probably have given me more pudding, or worse off, something I didn't like at all. Subchapter 1.2.2.2 Second bunch of chocolate milk, but only if paid for. Okay, so how exciting is drinking chocolate milk? As a kid, this is a great thing, but if I could somehow obtain a quarter, open parentheses, or simply put 25 cents, close parentheses, then every Friday when chocolate milk is available, I could get a second thing of it. There were times where I got 2 things of chocolate milk. Subchapter 1.2.2.3 End of Year Party. At the end of the school year, on the last day of school, I was often treated to a free pizza from Pizza Hut, one of those small 8-inch pizzas. I otherwise don't recall much about it in terms of the foods I had. Subchapter 1.2.2.4 Dining in at a pizza restaurant. Pizza wasn't eaten. One of my favorite events is when I was dining in at a pizza restaurant with my mom. It occurred, I think, during the winter of either 2005 or 2006. I don't recall exactly which one it was, but it was likely Pizza Hut or a place called Godfather's, of which it was, I think, a local restaurant, later renamed to Bonifelli's. At first, it starts off normally. Going to a table with a menu, and then with the waiter or waitress comes back, placing an order. A long wait occurs while the pizza is cooked, and when done, is delivered as needed. As usual, I ask for a lot of napkins, usually an inch high. This is where things drift far off the normal.
Oh.
Rather than eating the pizza right away, I spent the entire time degreasing it. Because my mother was in a rush to leave, we needed the go-to boxes to store the pizzas in. This is where the interesting part occurred. When the waitress came back with such items, he saw I didn't eat any of my pizza. I recall mentioning to them that I degreased it and showed them the napkins. Beyond this, I don't recall much. Licks finger, turns page. Subchapter 1.2.2.5 Real Italian Pizza. During a vacation, I was in Minnesota. At one time, I went into an Italian restaurant, and as usual, I got pizza. I didn't know it was an Italian restaurant, though, until the end, where I was told by my parents or something that I had real Italian pizza. At the time, I liked pepperoni quite well, so I'm very sure it was a pepperoni pizza. I love you and thank you. I love this song. Love you both. Even if you steal crabs, bite me a hot dog. Domino's is preferred pizza place. They need the extra iron. I love it when the doggos bounce on the screen. 1.2.2.6 Chickens and things a foot away. Where's the smell? Due to my very weak sense of smell, I had a hard enough time smelling food from even a foot away, and I'm unable to identify what it is. One thing I recall is when my parents went to KFC to get chicken and some other things. When in the car again, I was to hold on to the meal. Even after 10 minutes and the food being nearly a foot away. I could still barely even smell it. I couldn't tell what any of it was. See the senses section of this report for further details about my very weak sense of smell, with very rare exceptions. Chapter 1.3, Drinks. Subchapter 1.3.1, Drinks at Home. Subchapter 1.3.1.1, Kool-Aid.
What the fuck?
Where's the flavor? Much before 1994, I don't recall anything at all in terms of how things were when I drank. Around here, I frequently use Kool-Aid drink mixes, the large cans rather than the packets, as my source of water.
And
The Kool-Aid drink mixes, yeah.
you have cans of it.
I guess that's what this guy says. Maybe they don't offer anymore, maybe for a reason. The major downside with the Kool-Aid is a serious lack of flavor. The instructions said to fill a cap to the mark where a 1 was indicated, since I had a half-gallon pitcher, if I recall these details correctly. At first, following the directions, the strength of the flavor was very low. As a consequence, I had to increase the amount to something beyond what is stated in the instructions, and by the time it got to a reasonable value, I had 2 to 2.5 times as much as the instructions indicated. This lasted for several years until my issue with the cups came about. I very gently put the book down. Is everybody doing okay? Is the music at an okay volume?
I'm enjoying it. You're reading it faster than I'm reading it on your shoulder, but it's alright.
You'll catch up. You're just a hot dog.
I am just a hot dog.
Okay, but you need to check out Quinn. Local pizza is always best, but Domino's is my favorite chain. I like Little Caesars for cheap pizza. Not only is it cheap, but it's better than it should be. I like Little Caesars. Yep. I don't have an avenue for it. I don't have, I can't get access to it easily with where I'm at, but I think about it.
The only thing I know about Little Caesars is it goes pizza.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's pretty good. That's more than I thought that you would. I thought that you were going to say that, that's like Julius Caesar is like their mascot.
No, I actually know American adverts and shit. I've illegally watched your TV shows.
You said you legally watched, or you illegally watched?
Illegally. I'm a bad boy. I need a spanking.
Okay, hot dog. Calm down.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Didn't mean to escalate so much.
Just a hot dog. I can't control these emotions.
I can't read and feel at the same time. I just wildly bounce between the two.
Look at my eyes. They're literally stars.
Because I'd only use the same cup up to twice, I otherwise didn't drink much. It was quite common to go through 4 cups per day. With my parents complaining about it, I needed bigger cups, and to get my thirst fulfilled, I had to go drink more liquid in a single go. It was quite common. I'd drink a 16-ounce glass in just 30 seconds at a time, fucking Christ, but soon decreased to about 15 to 20 seconds? This increased my sudden intake of water, yeah, I should fucking think so, decreased the number of cups I went through, and increased the amount of water I consumed. However, when a cup was not available, as in all dirty, I had to drink water direct from the tap instead. At times, I could drink nearly 4 or so cups worth of water direct from the tap, drinking it right as it comes out of the faucet, that of a typical 32-ounce Powerade bottle.
I heard your American water isn't that good.
It's true. Not. It's not. With everything on the verge of being privatized, if it's not already, it's not exactly, it's like there's...
Wait, are they really gonna privatize water supply or something?
They're gonna, if they can, they will.
No, that's a human... Oh wait, no, you guys voted against.
We don't believe in rights. We don't believe in rights. We don't believe in rights.
I believe when there was a UN vote, like for water and like food, like it's a human right to have food and water. I think you guys voted no with North Korea. And you were the only two that voted no.
I don't remember that, but that sounds right. That sounds very
you were the only
brand.
two. Yeah, you were the only two to vote no.
Imagine dragons having free access to water.
Yeah,
I'm still honestly amazed that there's like public water fountains and shit. Like the funding for that crap must be like razor thin.
Yeah, they're like, that isn't gonna blow up.
1.3 1.2. Water direct from the tap. We're not done yet. At times, probably before 1994 and during the case where I had no available cups for my Kool-Aid drinks. Read second paragraph of section 1.3.1.1 directly above. I drink water directly from the tap. I'd go to the bathroom and use the sink. I turned on the faucet, reached it under with my mouth, and began drinking from the water by sucking the water in. I don't recall...
wait then, before we start.
Yeah?
Before we start, can you tell Marsh to not give up on Elden Ring? He's currently at Stormvale Castle, and he's given up. He's quit.
Is he playing Elden Ring right now?
He's not playing it now, no, because he's quit. He got too lost in the castle, and he's quit.
Marsh, if granted with my help, if Franny can beat Melania, you can definitely get further. Elden Ring is a very punishing game, but it's just going to make you feel even better once you overcome it.
Yeah, I don't think he's got to, Margaret.
Just keep it trucking, keep it moving. That's all I can say is just keep powering through it.
Yeah.
I don't recall how long I've drank from the sink, but I use it as a last resort. When the water went out due to the water pipes being fixed, I couldn't drink anything at all. 1.3.1.3, a play in 2002 gives a new option. During June of 2002, I was involved with small acting parts in a play involving some Shakespeare script. Since I was otherwise away from sources of water, I couldn't just leave for water, as my part could come in at any moment. My sister suggested getting Powerade/Gatorade while at the local grocery store. Since then, I gradually got into drinking Powerade and Gatorade. Subsection 1.3.1.4, no sodas. Now, could you just not imagine not having a single soda of any kind for 1 year or even 3 years?
Ever since that literally do that.
Yeah, I've never had a single soda, and they even reject sodas. I recall things like Mountain Dew LimeWire or something like that being released, but I never got a single taste of it, nor any other products available at the time. Subchapter 1.3.1.5, major Powerade/Gatorade craze. As with Kool-Aid, I got hooked with Powerade and Gatorade. Gatorade cost 30% more. I was drawn more to Powerade. It was quite rare I got Gatorade, and when I did, a sale was present that caused its price to be lower than that of Powerade. While I was out shopping, I often got them in bunches of a little over 100. The lemon lime flavor was my top favorite. Liked close to twice as much as every other flavor, so I often got twice as much of that flavor as any other flavor. The Arctic Rush, the white one, as well as Green Squall, the green one, were my top favorites, and got a bit more of those than the others, excluding lemon lime.
Is this just an advertisement?
The Jagged Ice one is my, I don't know, maybe he was sponsored at the time. The Jagged Ice one is my least likely liked flavor of all, and there were some others. When I went shopping, I set the base to 100 because I got twice as much of the lemon lime flavor. It had 2 counts. All other flavor, 1 count. If there were 7 flavors available on the shelf, I'd get a basis of 12.5 Powerades. From there, the amount I got was varied among the compatibility. I'd get 25 lemon lime flavored ones, about 14 of the Arctic Rush, Green Squall, and the other top favorite I don't recall, 12 or 13 of the orange flavor and the blue one, I don't recall the name, and other moderately light flavors, and about 9 or 10 of the lesser light flavors, such as Jagged Ice, I would get 9. In the end, though the basis was 100, I often ended up with more than 100. Why so many? To last a month. I quite commonly went around the grocery store with a cart 3/4 full, of which it was hard to push and stop due to all that weight and mass. I got that, Britta. Thank you, X-Ray. 1.3.1.6, light lemonade. During my Powerade Gatorade craze, I occasionally got cases of lemonade. At first, it was a high-end sugar type with 150 calories per can, comparable to a soda. I then went to a light lemonade, which was just 8 calories, 2 grams of carbs, and was much better than Powerade in terms of calorie counts. At first, I only got 1 case, 12 cans, the smallest available unit. Since I liked it much better than the sugar-packed version, I changed over to it. When I tried getting Tropicana's light lemonade, I liked it twice as much and I quickly got onto it, but then it disappeared. Ever since around October, I've not yet seen a single case of it in any store in town, not even the Walmart Supercenter when it opened up. Despite numerous complaints to both store clerks and even someone working for the company, Pepsi, I haven't seen it since. I keep an empty box in my room as a kind of trophy. Since around May, I've wanted it so badly, I'd buy 60 cases of it. That's 720 cans, nearly $200 worth. That's enough to last 4 months. When I see someone in the store who would otherwise stock the item, that's what he says. That's what's here. I'd buy 720 cans, yeah, to last 4 months.
How many does he go through a day?
Probably a lot, more than anyone rationally should. When I see someone in the store who would otherwise stock the item, I tell them that by not having this particular flavor... Wow, okay, hang on. This is a roller coaster right of a sentence. When I see someone in the store who would otherwise stock the item, I tell them that by not having this flavor, they're forcing me to get my drinks from the other company. So he's telling the person that's stocking the drinks this. The one that makes Minute Maid, which has since become my primary drinks. When I see someone from the other company, I sometimes tell them...
was cola. Coca-Cola.
I don't know. I think they're shifting away. Well, at this point they're talking how they moved away from regular sodas and got really, really into lemonade and Powerade and Gatorade.
Okay.
When I see someone from the other company, I sometimes tell them, since their competitor doesn't bother carrying the product here, their competitor is helping them as a result. If I ever see it again in any store, I'd certainly clear the whole shelf. They do have Tropicana lemonade, but it's much lesser liked, less healthy, sugar-packed type, liked even less than Minute Maid. I don't have a way of getting the drinks either, and I've been told it's available in other cities, just not where I live, and thus not discontinued. We're gonna run a poll now. Let's run a poll. More story time, or Twitch plays Stoic. More story time. Twitch plays Stoic plays Elden.
I could listen to you all day with this shit. Well, dude, I've already listened to it with fucking text-to-speech.
It is fucking interesting. Like, psychologically interesting. Alright, I'm gonna run this for 5 minutes, so I'm gonna keep going. So you tell me by the vote that's popped up on your fun screen if you want more story time or Twitch plays Stoic.
Okay.
Let me check. Let me see where I was, because there's a lot here. Okay, we've already got that. Chapter 1.3.2 memorable events. Subchapter 1.3.2.1 144 Gatorade bottles. Where to put them all? on one day, and for sure before July 4th, see my blog for a more precise date, RAP blog, there was a major sale for Gatorade. I got a whole stash of 144 drinks. When I got home, I had a hard time figuring out where to put them all as I simply couldn't fit them on my shelves.
Subchapter
1.3.2.2 Thanksgiving dinner and poison offered by my parents. By looking at the subject, you might be confused. A lot. Why would my parents serve poison? Well, in effect, it's not actually poison. Any alcoholic...
Sumi.
Welcome in, Sumi. Thank you so much. Shout out, Sumi Asami. Shout out. Sumi Asami. Need to go again. Have a great rest of the stream, people. Goodbye, jokers. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Congrats on beating that really hard level.
Yes.
Or section.
Big congrats.
I don't know what it is.
It was like one of the final parts of the Yakuza Kiwami. It's like a whole gauntlet of like minigames and shit and fighting sequences and bosses and stuff.
Like
and apparently you have to clear
wave.
it all in one go. Like there's no checkpointing.
Like a boss rush.
Right, exactly. Like you start over at the beginning of the chapter if you don't clear all the minigames and fights and boss fights and shit like that.
Just winning it.
Yeah, just kidding. That's right. Any alcoholic beverage, I consider a poison. Due to the many times I've been told not to have it, and later on how many effects it has. Why they asked that, I don't know. Instead, I chose to have orange juice instead of the poison. Even to today, I still wonder why they did that. Even though I'm now of legal age, if I was asked this again, due to my motivation being negative 180/70...
What?
Primarily due to numerous negative effects, I think it's because this is... So that we're actually, like... If you can believe it, which you just have to take my word for it, I of course could post. I'm just gonna post a link to this in the chat so that people can read of their own volition. Okay. He describes assigning a number that called a motive. Like, he uses the term motive to describe how much or how little he likes something. So he's basically saying how little he dislikes alcohol, and apparently it's so extreme that it's like negative 870 feel good feelings about it. Due to the numerous negative effects that otherwise always refuse the offer, and even 2,500 wasn't enough to counter it. So he's basically saying that even if he was paid $2,500, he would still not drink alcohol. Chapter 1.4, drinks in school and other public places. Subchapter 1.4.1, brief history. Subchapter 1.4.1.1, preschool, kindergarten, and milk. During my preschool and or kindergarten year, not exactly sure when, I recall having to drink a single 1-cup carton of milk at a certain time nearly every day. A memorable event with this is covered in section 1.4.2.1 below. Subsection 1.4.1.2, elementary school and milk/juice. During my elementary school years, I always had milk available. Occasionally juice if the somewhat dreaded lunch menu had it. On Fridays, chocolate menu was available, and if I had 25 cents, I could get an extra. At the end of the school year, or as random rewards during the year, I'd often get a bonus chocolate milk, and I even recall going into the kitchen basement area to get one. From the point system my special classroom had, I'd get 1,500 points. I could trade them for soda as a reward. 1.4.1.3, middle and high school. Grades 7 through 9 were otherwise the same as my elementary school, or elementary years in terms of drinks, but there were some differences. Although milk is available, I often had juices or just plain water instead. Ordinary water from drinking fountains was my most common form of liquid, unlike my elementary school years. Since I went to school at 3:45 to 4:45 p.m. during grades 10 through 12 due to a much different system, I otherwise almost never had any drinks. The main drink was whatever I brought with me, usually Powerade or something. Alright, the poll is effectively over. Let's see what people voted.
Does he know how bad Gatorade is for him? Or Powerade?
What's that?
Do you know how bad Powerade and Gatorade is for you?
I would say yes, but very little in the US is actually, like, I could sit there and tell you.
It's so full of sugar. Like, my god. Like,
yeah, but athletes drink it. How bad could it be?
You had vitamin water as well.
Mm-hmm.
No, athletes don't actually drink that water. They just use water and just use the bottles.
Okay. Yeah.
That's legit. Did you not know that?
No. That sounds right, though. I can believe it.
Sports organizations just use water and just put the logo in on it.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. 1.4.1.4, public places. When at public places such as a fast food restaurant, I often got a soda until January of 2004 when I suddenly stopped having sodas altogether, after which I went with juice, apple, or orange, or just plain water. We're gonna keep this going for like 20 more minutes, and then we're going to swap to Twitch plays Stoic plays Elden Ring. 1.4
sneak peek of what you might see when we play concurrent
stream chat games.
Rim jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. Concurrent rim jobs. Yeah, that's the name of the game. By HelloFresh, by the way. 1.4.2 memorable events. I only recall one event. During my preschool and or kindergarten year, not sure which, each student in the class at some time, open parentheses, 10 a.m., close parentheses, was given a 1-cup carton of milk. The blue carton was the main one, 2% low fat. I didn't like it, so I asked if I could have something else. Chocolate, brown carton, was likely an obvious choice, but it wasn't allowed. Because I've always had the red milk at home, homogenized, I asked for that. They wouldn't let me have it, for some reason. So I went with the only other option, skim, the pink one. They accepted that one, and I got it from then on. I often drank it. Chapter 2, the present. Subchapter 2.1, food. I eat pizzas primarily. This is what you've been getting hit with on your streams, by the way. This whole thing in general. But this
I'm aware of what I'm listening. I've already heard this. I've heard Brian do this.
Once every 2 months, I have something else, but since it's not filling me, causing me to eat a second time during the day, one major motivation dropper, I otherwise have pizza every day. This does not include snacks. The reason for pizzas only is quite clear when you look at differences in motivation. Both Hamburger Helper and pizzas are often of the same compatibility with me. Sorry, with pizzas like 1.4 times better. Not much on 180. It's not the compatibility that's the issue. It's the effectors. Pizzas require just 3 dishes. The pizza cooker tray for the pizzazz oven, but there's only one of those available. A large plate, of which there are 12, and a spatula, of which there are 10, less commonly used. Hamburger Helper takes 5 dishes, of which listed in the second paragraph of section 1.1.2.5 above. Unlike pizzas, Hamburger Helper, open parentheses, HH, close parentheses, always requires milk. If the milk is beyond the sell-by date, it's not considered available. Unlike with the dishes where they could be washed if my parents were available, the milk cannot be replaced unless a trip is taken to the grocery store. Because of the greater chance of having to get milk dishes washed, it deters me from having it. The milk is the biggest issue since, if not available, it simply can't be washed. It means a 16-mile round trip to get to the grocery store and back. Without milk, I otherwise have only one flavor available. Lasagna. Of which is 12 times worse than pizza's incompatibility, so substantial of a difference, there's no chance I'll have it and would rather have pizza. Since Hamburger Helper is not that filling, I'd need kind of like a double batch. It takes 50% longer to cook and eat than pizzas by volume. Cannot be degreased. The motive for it is much further reduced. Compared to pizzas, Hamburger Helper has a small 10 points of motive. And by applying the theory of repeated use, something I am researching, I could go for about 6 months without it, provided the motivation does not change for both. What the fuck is Hamburger Helper? It's like, so you get a pound of ground beef. I don't. Do you guys call it a pound? I think we should.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do call it a pound.
Okay, like a pound of ground beef, and then it's basically like a mix, and it's like a mix of spices that you mix in with the Hamburger Helper. And it might have cheese, it might have just the spices, it might be flavored typically artificially by something else. Sounds like some American cancer-causing shit. Newsflash, bro, it all causes cancer. Everything causes cancer. It either gives you diabetes, or it gives you cancer, or typically both. Or you spend 3 to 4 times the amount of money to try to get as little of it as possible. Sometimes not even completely axing it out. Although I liked grilled cheese sandwiches, the fact that it takes me an hour just to butter 8 slices of bread, that's right, an hour. It easily deters me, and the compatibility with pizza is 2.5 times higher as well. It takes fewer dishes than pizzas, but the fact of a high fat and calorie values deters me. Although, the greasing could work. By the time I get it done, the sandwiches would be cold and would defeat the purpose of buttering. My motivation for grilled cheese is a small 1.9. If I had Hamburger Helper every day, it'd be 4 weeks before I have this, and thus is extremely unlikely for me to eat. Snacks generally involve crackers, those with reduced fat and other things. If I'm asked if I want a chocolate bar, I would take plain, the type I liked with a child, a donut, often the powdered or sugar ones, or anything like that. I refuse it. I avoid candy and many other things I once liked as a child and went crazy on, as long as it didn't have peanut butter, caramel, or other such things. I never liked those as a child. Unlike my past, I avoid almost any food. Things like pineapples and kiwis look scary. It adds a strong negative effector. Meat is often disgusting looking, very high in fat, and if not fully cooked, could cause dangerous diseases. These are 3 main reasons why I don't eat meat today. Chapter 2.2, Drink. As of today, Minute Maid Light Lemonade is my primary source of water. I'd get Tropicana's sugar-free lemonade, but since the company doesn't bother carrying it in any local store, I'm unable to. To be fair, peanut butter is nasty. When in public places, I avoid sodas and I ask for juices. If no juice is available, it's just plain water. Unlike most, I hate cold drinks. The reason is simply I hate the cold. I drink my drinks at room temperature. Plus, by having it at room temperature, I could drink an entire 12-ounce can in about 10 to 15 seconds. Where if it's cold, it takes on the order of a minute to drink. The only cold drink I like to any degree is a slushie from Dairy Queen, but it's often 2 or 3 per year that I get.
Does he keep a tally or something?
A tally of
like what he
everything?
Eats and shit. Yeah.
Sure, I would fucking believe it. He's mentioned taking like down to the ounce. Like this guy was employing a lot of math, and he developed mathematical systems. So of course he was keeping track of it. I think. I can't imagine he wouldn't. You should have read the Harry Potter fan.
This guy was drowning in.
I don't know. I'm kind of wet, hot dog.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm thinking this guy. Do you know why this website went down? Because this guy died because he was drowning in puss.
And lemonade.
And lemonade. Sorry. Well, my mistake. And lemonade. Puss and lemonade.
Chapter 1. Too much video game playing. New section. The PlayStation. The PlayStation marked the end of my interest in gaming, especially the excessive play. Bubsy 3D, as you may expect. Oh, I'm misreading. I'm going too far ahead. Let me track back.
We're talking about having an addiction, not hated it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I misread where I was. Sorry. This part isn't super well organized. Shockingly. 1. The beginning. When I was about 3 to 5 years of age, most likely 4, I started getting interested in video games. This is when I first started playing video games with the Atari system. I don't think much about this, though, as far as what happened. A few things that I can recall was I was extremely good at these games and could get through so many levels without getting a game over notice or related. Since the Atari, I've been involved with video games. Chapter 2. Too much video game playing. For a full list of all games I own or play and details remarks about them, see the list of my games. We're not going to go into that section yet. 2.1 Nintendo. The PlayStation as in the first one, yeah. Of all the systems I played between the Nintendo and Sega Genesis, yeah, I actually read too far. I wasn't sure where this is going to start. It's been kind of a wild ride so far. Between the Nintendo and Sega Genesis, I don't know which one I played the most. In the Nintendo system, I had several favorite games. Felix the Cat, Metroid, open parentheses. Even to this day, I don't know the main objective for Metroid, if there was any. Close parentheses. Jaws, Mario, except Mario 2, and Blaster Master were my favorites. Even today, they're still strongly liked. As early as Nintendo...
That motherfucker not know the story for Metroid. Isn't it just to kill Metroid?
He doesn't... Yeah, but he doesn't know the main... Even to this day, he doesn't have any idea what the point of Metroid was.
I've never played a Metroid game, but I know the first Metroid is to kill Metroid, the person. Metroid Prime or whatever his name is.
Everybody in the stands are shifting uncomfortably because the story can't continue because this fucking hot dog that keeps... Like, we get it, hot dog. We get it. You played Metroid. That's not...
I haven't played Metroid.
Okay, well, you know what Metroid is, okay?
And I'm a hot dog.
And I'm a hot dog.
I'm a hot dog.
I wish it was able to capture you moving around. Like, it's able to capture you moving your face. Okay,
yeah, imagine the whole body move.
Yeah, but it doesn't properly capture the body wiggle while I'm technically controlling you.
Oh shit! I just broke Felicity's immersion.
During the days of the Nintendo, I was playing my games for 10 hours per day on weekends and 4 to 6 hours per day on school days. This caused problem with school. While I was in school, I was often jumping like crazy, as if jumping on one of those turtles in Mario. Almost everywhere I went where walking was involved. Some well-recalled events are these. Memory jogged from running events in my mind game. There was a turtle in the basement area of my elementary school. The turtle was all over the place. I had to be careful to avoid it, unless, of course, I hopped onto it. Source?
Wait, what? Wait,
Mario.
what?
Like, he's inventing games in school, is what's happening.
Wait, I thought there was just a rogue turtle just lying around, just like... the class.
Wait, maybe.
Because in some schools here, there are like a school dog or a school's cat.
Actually, I don't know. He doesn't say that it was painted on anything or that it was on the ground. He does say the turtle went all over the place. I had to be careful to avoid it, of course. Source, Mario. At lunchtime at my elementary school, the red ketchup bottles and yellow mustard bottles were considered lava. Source, Metroid. Color tiles that were...
This motherfucker don't know anything about no Metroid.
He doesn't... He knows what Metroid is. He just doesn't understand the point of it.
Oh.
Yeah. Color tiles that were odd as well as lines, and even shadows, rare, were enemies that I had to bop. Source, Mario. Sunlit areas were lava. Source, Metroid. If you touch any water from a pool or outside, you die because the water was blue. Source, many games in which water being blue in them took your player's life away. The red stage in the elementary school's basement was considered lava. Source, Metroid. These pertain to just the Nintendo alone. Subchapter 2.2, the Super Nintendo. Compared to the original Nintendo, there wasn't really much change when it comes to Super Nintendo. In fact, the only real difference is that I only got 3 games and I didn't play them often. Details about this in this era are very vague. Sorry, he wrote the sentence a little bit chopped up here. The only favorite game I had was Super Mario World. Subchapter 2.3, the Sega Genesis. Originally coming with Eternal Champions, a game I dislike. The Sega Genesis system didn't seem exciting. Then, along comes Bubsy. For days on end, I'd be playing Bubsy and Claws Encounters of the Third Kind.
That's nowhere near. No, that's not what it was called.
Was my top. That's what he's. I'm just reading the fanfic, but I think I do remember a game being called that. This is my top favorite game of all time. It's the only game that I know of from this time where the screen can scroll at even 95 pixels per frame, causing the background to move nearly 3 pixels per frame, able to go from the top of the level to the very bottom in just half a second.
No.
I had many favorite games as well. Taz and Escape from Mars, Bubsy and Claws Encounters of the Third Kind, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Crew Ball, a Virtual Pinball, The Magic School Bus Gets Lost in Space, Rise Star, Aero the Acrobat, Vector Man 2, and finally, Tiny Toons and Buster's Hidden Treasure. That's a lot of games, yet strangely enough, I no longer really seem to be affected by the excessive play and the side effects it induced. 2.4. The PlayStation. The PlayStation marked the end of my interest in gaming, especially the excessive play. Bubsy 3D, as you may expect, was one of my top favorites along with Skull Monkeys. Jumping Flash. That was a good one. I agree with that one. And Spyro 2, also agreed. Although many claim of playing RPG games, I rarely play them, and I often don't get involved that much. I didn't like Final Fantasy VIII much at all. I didn't really get that far. Only the music keeps me going on Final Fantasy IX, and I'm stuck on the island you start on. Final Fantasy VII was played through in full. In fact, my status system, which is another system that he created to contextualize things that's in some other part of this website, and that's editor's note, that's me talking here, was actually around before Final Fantasy VII was even released. Again, not much has really happened from playing the PlayStation. I only gradually lost interest in games from this. By this point in time, the games were less interesting than the classics. 2.5, the GameCube. Having already lost much of my interest in playing video games, the GameCube doesn't seem all that exciting. Super Monkey Ball 2 and Super Mario Sunshine are the only 2 favorites from the GameCube and Sonic Mega Collection to a limited extent. 2.6, the computer. Computer games normally aren't my thing. That is, games that are played on a computer. Well, what the fuck else would it mean? Editor's note. The only 2 flavors, the only 2 favorites were Zeliard. Yeah, no, that's me. That's my bad. It's almost like I've been reading a fanfic from like an early 2000s like website of this person having like talking about pizzas and toasty dogs and stuff with a hot dog on my shoulder for like an hour. It's an hour and a half.
Realistically, do you think that guy fucked a pizza?
I don't think he fucked it. I think he probably
calzone.
Yeah. You know what? That's pretty close. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Why not? Yeah, that sounds right.
Chat, put one in the chat if you'd fuck a calzone.
Welcome, Bridget's here. Bridget's already leaving.
She was like, hey, fuck a pizza. Okay, I'm gone.
Oh, do you think this guy fucked a pizza?
Why the hot dog just ask if that guy just fucked a pizza?
He probably saw the hot dog. This one ant game where you had to change the ground to get an ant to crawl through it, and you had to score some points to go on to the next level. Video games and computer have traded 2.7. Before, it was a major addiction to video games. Now, it's the computer, which is a lot more sophisticated than a console. True, base take, true. Glizzy Franny, yeah, this little baby hot dog has been doing, look at his eyes, has been doing such a good job following along.
I've been a good boy.
I've been a good hot dog.
I have been a good hot dog.
You have, yeah. Have fun, boys. Hi, Bridget. Bye, Bridget. Now it's the computer. Almost precisely. A trade occurred. This was the one time I was more involved with using the computer and the internet, especially online forums. Chapter 3, Making My Own Games. Subchapter 3.1, Origins. Subchapter 3.1.1, it came from a sound. If you've played lots of video games, you may have that want to make your own games. Origin of this started around 1994 when I was actively playing Zeliard. I was listening to this one sound where, if I crushed an enemy with a platform at speed 5, it caused a strongly liked sound. I could only get 100 plays of it at least once. I since had a dream of wanting to make a remake of Zeliard. I even had plans on paper, drawings mainly. One world was an ocean world. I had a Dino Land as well, where enemies took hundreds of hits to get it taken out. Sounds like Elden Ring. Since I had no idea what a game really was, a computer program, I never got around to doing that.
Is this guy Miyazaki?
Is this guy Miyazaki? Unfortunately, no, but it sounds pretty close. I'm sure Miyazaki was like this when he was younger.
Imagine! I tried to make a game like Busby, but I made Dark Souls instead.
I accidentally whoops, all Dark Souls. Subchapter 3.2, Jumping Flash revives my interest. Jumping Flash was one of my all-time top favorite games. In it, I couldn't get past the clouds. I got extremely close to them, so close, in fact, the very first level, looking straight down, shrunk to only 1/4 the width of the screen. I had a dream where I wanted to go above the clouds. 3.3, Along Comes Game Studio. On Christmas of 2000, I was given this program to create games with. Again, there was one programming... Sorry, there's one... How the fuck is this? Again, there was programming that I never really understood. Okay, that's what he's actually trying to say. I figured perhaps I could do the level design part of it. I made a small city area, basically like in my abandoned project, only with a few differences. I even lost interest in it and abandoned Game Studio for almost 30 months. 3.4. I returned to Game Studio. I soon returned to Game Studio around December or so of 2003. I decided to remake my previous project with some changes, mainly in where the buildings are placed.
Hi, Stoic Poppy and Hello Cock with a cute face.
I designed the main part of the buildings, but that was it. Welcome back / welcome in, Serena. It's good to see you. We're fucking living it right now. Hello, cock with a cute face. That's not a cock with a cute face. That's a hot dog.
I'm
it's Franny B.
dog.
I'm a hot dog. Look at me go. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
It's Franny and Bones.
I don't blame you, Zucks. I quit modding 3 times today. What are you trying to... Oh, okay, X-ray. For a second, it's almost like we've been streaming for about 8 hours straight, just about, give or take like 45 minutes. I thought you were talking about like modding. like modding a game, and I was like, that's so
Oh
cool
my
that you know how to do
God.
that. But you're talking about like actual.
You're saying X-Ray couldn't do that if she wanted to.
I'm not saying that she can't. I'm just saying that I misunderstood what she's likely saying.
Well, this hot dog believes she could.
I don't gatekeep the Force, okay? That's on you, bud. I don't gatekeep colors. I don't gatekeep words.
When have I ever gatekeeped a color?
Because you're trying to force me. You're trying to say that it's color. Well, literally nobody says it
color,
like that.
not
That's
color.
what I'm saying. It's color. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Color with a U, not color.
Okay, well, you can add whatever extra extraneous letters you want to your words on your own time. Okay, I'm trying to run a production right here.
I would rather play X-Ray's game than your game. Your game would be like half broken, but you'd be like Lemao. That's the point.
Yeah, it's what the game is saying to you, not how it plays.
Hot cock with British accent.
3.4. I return to Game
Don't leave,
Studio.
Bridget.
I soon return to Game Studio around December or so. I decided to remake my previous project with some changes. Mainly, and where buildings were placed. I designed the main parts of the buildings, but that was it. I made a few models and sprites, but nothing else beyond that. I then began a long run of saving up $200 to get the commercial edition of A6. I started off saving a little, but I became more desperate, so I ended up saving even more. I used a trial version about 15 or so days before, and in it, I designed my map again. Moving to C.
Oh, you want the
programming.
bikini?
Yeah, you can whip out the bikini.
Okay.
Welcome back, Lazy. I love you guys too much. We love you too. Hi, Lazy Kitty
Very nice.
Strawberry. Immensely talented artist, even more immensely amazing person.
Everyone in this chat is amazingly talented.
I agree.
Everyone.
I recall playing a game where I used the middle and pointer fingers to walk around and jump around objects and stores in the house. This game's name, remembered extremely well, was called George Game Number 13. It originated from looking at books, and I still recall the details of this one-finger 2D slider game remarkably well. This game fit everything. Simple design, simple user interface, simple concept, and only 3 main goals. This is the birth of my 3D game as it is today. 3.7.2, the limits of the original concept. In fact, the design revolves so strongly around the original childhood version, there's not much of a difference. The only exceptions are the platforms in later worlds, such as the city or swamp. In the original version, you didn't have platforms or anything to jump around on, and you were only restricted to indoor objects. Ooh. You only had objects in the house or store that you were in. This, however, had limits as to where you can go. Programming was still a major obstacle. However, through the use of some side quests, I was able to gain some knowledge. The first side quest was thought of from something on my website. On my website, I featured an article on how I make animations, and it involved terms like scaling, speed, acceleration, and other things. I wanted an interactive example, but since no one would write the script for me, I then thought of JavaScript. I got further with that, but got struck with an error that I couldn't understand. No one would help me on. So then comes the idea of Game Studio. Why not use it to make this very thing? Well, first off, Game Studio can run at 60 frames per second, whereas web page scripts could only run at 10 frames per second. Second, practicing in Game Studio would help me in the long run for bigger projects to come. You could also set the speed of rate and acceleration in it. That was the only form of interaction.
Beautiful. I love hot dog. I love you, Freddy. I love you too, Serena.
It's too beautiful. I love hot dogs. I love you, Franny. Hot cock with a sexy bikini. Now that the ladies are here, I can sleep easy. Yes. Yeah, you're surrounded by a lot, far fewer hot dogs than you were before. Having done a search for what? Having done a search for Lily. What is this word that he's using? Lilia? I don't know. I found my screenshot of the old version of the first program. I looked at it and I had the idea to make it movable and not just one direction. I will be with Lazy, my beautiful Pappy. Goodbye and I love you. I love you too. And have fun. With 4 directions, the left and right was okay, but the vertical, however, wasn't. To work around that, I had the idea of jumping and the such that I do in my mind game. Okay, how are we doing on time? Okay, we're getting close to the time that I wanna segue to Elden Ring. So we're gonna do that.
Lips.
I have not audio balanced Elden Ring, but it shouldn't take me long to do that. So I'm not going to be right back. I'm still doing okay. Shockingly, I should not be doing okay, but I am. Let me pop out of this. We're going to unpin all
Yo,
the
I just
objects.
started. I just literally spoke to Rani for the first time after
what?
I actually beat Radahn.
Yeah.
It's so weird hearing her be like, "Yo, I heard you beat Radahn."
Oh, because you already married her.
Yeah, no, I haven't
It is
married her
weird,
yet.
isn't it? We're gonna
But she's
close
like, "Yeah,
this.
just go get me my treasure in it."
What did I choose here? Color picker? Is that right? This will have my merch all.
Oh, look at that lovely, sexy bunch of merch I see on my screen.
Look at it. Alright, I'm gonna put
Am
myself
I-
over here.
Can I buy your merchandise?
You sure can. Just go on over to the merch store that I'm gonna put in chat right now.
What happens if I don't want to buy your merch?
I'll fucking cut you in Minecraft.
Well,
That's what I'll do.
it's fucking pretty. Yeah. Which one would you recommend me buy? I'll buy it right now. No joke.
For me personally, it's the hoodie. The hoodie is really comfortable, and lounging in it is like
fucking thing on this, don't you, piece of
that's
shit?
what you asked me for my fucking opinion, and that's what I
This
said. I
motherfucker-
knew that it was
this-
gonna be higher than
this
the other
motherfucker-
options.
This
If you wanted me to
This-
say something
this
else, then you say
mother-
something else. Say what you mean
fucker-
and mean what you say.
This
Okay?
motherfucker be
What you
like,
actually meant to
give
say
me the
to
most
me
money.
was what is the most cost-effective option that you would still recommend to me is what you
I already
should
gave
have
you 10
said.
gifted subs, my friends, and now
You-
you're telling
you
me
d-
to spend more
I'm not-
money on you.
Motherfucker, I'm not. I exist in this moment. I am apart from the gift subs. This is a different pocket universe that you asked me a question and I'm recommending something to you. Ara. Look, X-Ray says Doggo's shirt was nice quality, so the shirts are also
Yeah,
good.
but is that a hoodie? Would I be the first person to buy this hoodie?
No, I bought the hoodie. I would never buy
Okay.
anything that I wouldn't personally or
So
whatever
you
silly.
bought everything on that store right now?
Or people have said to me multiple times that they've bought like the shirts and stuff and that they're good. Like the shirts have been
Okay.
vouched for like 4 times by Felicity.
I was thinking about getting a tank top because I like wearing tank tops in the summertime.
You should get the thong. TBH.
The thong.
I don't know if the
You ain't added the thong.
I think the tank top was bought. No, somebody asked me to add the tank top and then just didn't buy it, so I can't. I
Who
can't
asked you?
vouch
Pull
for
'em out
the
right
tank
now.
top. Play Elden Ring or play Elden Ring Adventure Time. Let's play Elden Ring. It's my first time. Take it easy on me, please. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't know what it's good at.
The first playthrough in your title.
I do need to switch it. Thank you for reminding me to actually change the title. Because I did forget to do that. I forgot there's a fucking
Oh my
flashback
God.
in this. Elden Ring.
Can you add stoic panty? There is an option to add thongs. There is an actual like underwear option.
No way.
There is. On
Twitch
Stream Element.
plays Stoic plays soon.
First playthrough.
Twitch
Put
plays
first
Stoic
playthrough.
plays Elden Ring.
So technically, it's the first playthrough.
Technically, it is
of
my
that.
first. If I put it at the very, it is so fucking loud,
I wouldn't know.
dude. Even though I've 100%ed this, it still
Apparently.
sends chills through me when I hear the main system music. Let me lower this. This is so fucking loud. And I know that chat can't see anything. Just give me a moment.
I'm nearly one playthrough away from 100% in this.
Where is the sound?
Look at Bert.
Probably the sound section. Master volume. Okay.
So what happens if no one talks in chat?
Did this automatically full screen?
It does that.
Oh my god. Give me a second. Full screen. Borderless windowed. Okay, Activision Blizzard, fix fucking Elden Ring, have it come out in borderless windowed and not full screen automatically. Okay?
Activision Blizzard.
Literally-
I'm pretty sure you don't know who made the game. Harold.
Ubisoft, whatever. It doesn't matter.
What would you? How would you think Elden Ring would be if it was like Ubisoft? Do you think it would even come out? Do you think Miyazaki would
First
be like, you
time.
know what? No.
What if I do first time ooh woo?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to grab a letter from somewhere.
I might know one out, no X-ray, but what I'm saying is hypothetically, what if no one talks? Because that is a hypothetical. Do you just sit there?
In the